eyes look fucking insane from here. Like, it almost looks like I don't have eyes. Like, oh god, I hope it's not doing that. Like, it's not gonna look that way in the final product. I'm hoping that's just my vision. My glasses. This one specific curl that just will not cooperate with the rest. Okay, let's try this again. Hey there, Kenzie here, and welcome to my little corner of the internet. Now, just a quick note, not every family member got a more elaborate gift. I really wanted to get everybody something kind of unique, something a little more than just keychains and like basic touristy kind of like souvenir gifts, but it was so difficult to shop for certain family members because I kind of realized during this process that I don't know them well enough to know what they would like or wouldn't like. And then of course there was like the issue of cost, but that's like another thing. I also hand painted postcards for my family and friends as well as a part of their souvenirs. I didn't film the process of creating those, but yeah, I will show them so that you can see what each postcard looked like. I also made little treat bags for a lot of my family members, so we're actually going to start there. Each treat bag has a Glico biscuit. This one is like the limited edition that comes out every spring. It has cream filling or strawberry filling, one or the other. And there's, I think, 8 of each kind. And there's 2 biscuits per pack. So I just kind of randomly divided that up. Sakura Kit Kats. This one was actually really difficult to find. I went everywhere looking for this. I could find the strawberry ones really easily. I couldn't find the Sakura ones as easily. I think it's just because in March it's more like strawberry season. Strawberries are everywhere in March. And then it's like April is when you start seeing a lot more of the cherry blossom flavors coming out. I also included tiramisu chocolates that have like an almond inside, but I went with the matcha flavor. I got these at Daiso and they were kind of expensive. This was like 800 yen or some shit. It might have been more than that actually, because I remember looking at the price and being like, ooh, that's expensive for this. But I got it because I thought it was a little bit more unique. And when I think of Japan and I think of like Japanese flavors, when it comes to treats and stuff, matcha is one of the first things I think of. I feel like when you go for things like Kit Kats or when you go for things like the biscuits, they're just very safe choices. And I chose them for that reason because I knew that my family members were more likely to appreciate those. But when it comes to stuff like matcha flavored things, that's where we're getting into kind of like uncommon flavor territories for white people. So this will be adventurous for a lot of my family members, but I thought it could be kind of fun to throw that in as like a little bit of some of that Japanese flavor, aesthetic, vibe, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know what words I'm using. Finally, I came across these just completely on a whim again at Daiso at the same time as I bought those ones. And they each have like different flavors, but they're all sakura. Sakura matcha, sakura peach, sakura cheesecake, sakura kinako, and sakura miruku. And I thought that was kind of interesting. Again, it kind of goes with the sakura Kit Kats. It goes with the matcha. I thought, you know, with the pretty pink colors and stuff. I love the pastels. So that's the treat bags. Okay, now onto the good part of all of the bigger, more elaborate gifts that I'm giving people. We're gonna where do I start? I guess I'll start with my parents. If I sound unsure of myself, it's because I am. My mom specifically likes bracelets, but the issue is that I couldn't freaking find bracelets. It's so difficult to find jewelry that isn't earrings in Japan. I'm not even joking. I went around to like 50 different accessory stores and jewelry stores, everywhere I could think of, trying to find dainty feminine bracelets. I wanted like a cherry blossom motif. I thought it would be a pretty easy thing to find. If there were bracelets, they were very minimal, very basic, like simple chains, or there was very, very few options. My mom does like earrings as well, but she's very into bracelets, so I wanted to respect that and get her something that she's very into. But in the end, I ended up having to get her something I wasn't super satisfied with, but it was kind of something that I knew she'd like well enough, and it was gonna have to do, but it wasn't what I envisioned, which is actually unfortunately what happened with a lot of these souvenirs, but we'll get to those. So the bracelet I ended up going with was this one. You'll see it properly close up in other shots, but this is what I went with. It's got the flowers on the inside, like real flowers. I sent photos of this and a few other ones that were there to my mom, and she indicated that she really liked this one. There was actually another one there that I think was like purple, and in hindsight I wish I would have bought that because then we could have had matching bracelets. Since I do know the brand, if I can find another piece from them that looks like this one that can be matching with my mom, then I'd like to pick that up once I'm back in Japan. The second thing that I got for my mom was a keychain, so that's gonna be her second part of her gift. Now that I'm looking at them together, it also matches the blue of her bracelet really well too, so it's kind of a cute little combo. As for my dad, this one's a little bit weird because I actually don't have it in person right now. I initially intended to get my dad as well as my uncle like a band poster from preferably the 80s or the 90s, like a vintage promo poster for a concert. I went to the famous Book Street and I spent a good 2 hours sitting on the fucking ground going through boxes upon boxes upon boxes of old movie posters. I found so much cool shit. I think I went to like 6 or 7 different vintage bookstores that would have stuff like this. I tried Disc Union, I tried Tower Records. When I tell you I was going everywhere trying to find something like this, I'm not even joking. Along that famous Book Street there was like a rock metal memorabilia store in there that sold a lot of vintage magazines, but they were mostly American magazines, and the Metallica section was like a lot of Ozzy Osbourne stuff for some reason. It wasn't even Metallica, and a lot of those magazines weren't really that old. They were from like the early 2000s. I was looking for more like before that, and they were American magazines. Getting him an imported good from America as a Canadian doesn't feel super special. It was fun to go through those things. I would like to eventually go back to that area and kind of just snoop around, because there was actually some really cool vintage Marilyn Monroe stuff, like original Marilyn Monroe shit that I would love to get my grubby little hands on. I was on a mission. I was locked on to Metallica stuff. I never want to read the name Metallica again for the rest of my life. It's happening because there's nothing for them, because nobody gives a fuck. Like, what is happening right now? When I first started coming across the issue of not being able to find stuff for them, like all of their section being empty in almost every store I went to, I assumed it was because, you know, maybe they're just so popular that stuff doesn't stick around for long, and maybe that is the case. But upon further research, because I was looking online like a madwoman in Japanese and English, I was doing all of the research for weeks on end trying to find something, and nothing was coming up in regards to like concert posters and things like that, because Metallica has very rarely had concerts in Japan. So I don't think that Metallica is very popular. While I was at this like rock metal vintage magazine store place, they did have some really cool posters for bands like Iron Maiden, Kiss, AC/DC that could have been really cool, and my dad does like those bands, so in hindsight I probably should have just picked up one of those. But I was so set on Metallica, it was like that's all my brain could focus on, that I didn't think to just get him something else. And then my mom told me later that my dad actually doesn't like Metallica that much. Like, he likes them a lot, but like, he likes Iron Maiden a lot more. And I immediately thought back to that Iron Maiden poster I came across and was like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh my fucking god, why didn't you tell me that? If I had known I could have chosen pretty much any of the following bands, I would have. Like, if I would have known that Iron Maiden was an option, that would have solved my problem, because a lot of these other bands had a lot more stuff available, a lot easier to find than Metallica. So I exhausted myself to the point of tears looking for this shit, and in the end came up with nothing. I ended up finding a guy on eBay that is selling old posters that he finds for bands, a lot of foreign bands, and they were only like $7, and I'm like, sick, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I ended up just ordering it and having it sent to my address here, and I'll give it to my dad when it arrives. All's well that ends well, I guess, but it's just, this was so unnecessarily stressful, and I could have had the gift for him sooner, if I'd known or if I'd found this guy sooner. Like, I swear to God, guys, I was Googling the shit out of old Metallica band posters in Japanese for days on end, and I could not find this guy. It was like everything was working against me to make sure my dad didn't get a cool Japanese band poster. It was like the universe didn't want him to have it for some reason. Let's move on to my grandparents, actually. Initially, I wanted to get my nanny a kokeshi doll. When I went to the Oriental Bazaar in Shibuya, which sells them, a lot of places sell them, but I knew that one was a for sure. They were quite large. They were a lot larger than I was expecting them to be. I thought they'd be like yay big, and instead they were like the size of my hand or larger, and that wasn't what I was looking for. My nanny has a lot of trinkets, as you can see along my shelves. The whole house is filled with shelves with little things, and I swear to God, it's like my whole life. Every time I look at a shelf, I see things I didn't notice before. So with that in mind, I wanted to get her something that could be a part of her collection of shelf adorning trinkets and knickknacks. But the kokeshi dolls were larger than I thought. I think my nanny still would have liked them, but the design that I wanted that's on their website, I couldn't find one in person. So I decided that I would forego that idea. I ended up seeing something that reminded me of my first gift for her, and it immediately clicked. I ended up getting her this, I don't know what to call this, wooden hanging thingy. But as you can see, it has goldfish on it, just like her wind chime, and the colors are very similar. It immediately reminded me of the wind chime, so I picked this up and I thought she could either hang it nearby or off the wind chime itself. My grandparents just don't really like receiving gifts because it's like if they need anything, they just buy it for themselves. Do you know what I mean? So it's always been really hard to give gifts for my nanny. We often get her gifts for her garden and stuff like that, but when it comes to like, you know, a souvenir like this, it was just sort of difficult to figure out what to get her other than like little trinkets and stuff. So I think that this kind of works perfectly and something that she'll really like. Shopping for my papa is notoriously difficult because, again, he doesn't need anything, you know what I mean? And there's only so many tools and stuff you can get him. Over the years, my method for gift giving to my papa is baking him stuff. It's usually food that I gift him, or it's like a joint gift between him and my nanny so that I can avoid having to get him something individually. And I know that that sounds maybe a little bit harsh, but my papa doesn't give a shit. So like, I can't stress this enough. This was more important to me than it would be to either of them. I ended up seeing these at the Oriental Bazaar, these little handmade sumo wrestler keychains, and I thought that was kind of cute. I actually got two, one that's green and one that's red, and they have these the funniest little hand-painted faces. I'm gonna give one to my Uncle Vinny and one to my papa, so they'll have matching little sumos. I'm not quite sure which color. I'm still debating, but he's getting one of these and my uncle is getting the other. Moving on to much easier family members to shop for. Kind of came up randomly, but we were talking about Tamagotchis. I had taken pictures of Tamagotchis kind of lined up on the shelves in the stores and had sent it to the family group chat to be like, they never died out here, which is crazy. They ended up indicating that they really liked the Tamagotchis, like they thought that that was cool and that they wanted one. So I'm like, there's my souvenir idea. So I bought them this Tamagotchi. I actually got two of them. I talked about this in my March haul video from last month, so you can go over there and see what my Tamagotchi looked like if you'd like. So they got the purple one, and this is the Japan edition. I got this at Toys R Us. I found it by accident but was super stoked. I haven't seen the Japan edition anywhere else, and there was only 3 left, 2 of the purple and 1 of the red. So I snatched these up, and they were actually significantly cheaper, like by almost a whole 1,000 yen, than I've seen them anywhere else. So it was a win all around, really. And the second half of their gift is giant Pocky, because they like Pocky and they eat it pretty regularly. So I got them this comically large sized Pocky. So I'm very excited to see their face when they see that. Other siblings. I have 2 other siblings. For those of you that don't know, I'm a triplet. So for Ty and his wife and his son, the amount of people I have to buy things for is just ever expanding these days. So for Ty, I wanted to get him something that aligns with his interests. So I was looking into like figurines and stuff for Elden Ring, and let me tell you, anything Elden Ring is so horrendously expensive. It's crazy. And I quickly realized that a lot of the things that would be very cool for my brother that are within his realm of interest are completely out of my budget range now and probably forever, for the rest of my life. I don't think I'll ever be rich enough for that shit. So I was at a loss, and while researching all this, I ended up coming across this set of pins that were released. There was 2 different sets, and the most recent set to be released had pre-orders from like the summertime of last year. I think it was like if you bought one, you bought one, and if you didn't, you'll never get it because they're not being sold outside of that. So they're a limited item. They're very unique. There wasn't very many of them made, I don't think. Of course, by the time I found out about this, it was too late to pre-order them. I missed out, or did I? Because I ended up finding an absolute legend on, I think it was Rakuten, who was selling an unopened box of these pins for the exact price that they were sold for. A lot of people were buying them and then reselling them at like 2 to 3 times the price, which shouldn't shock anybody. That is exactly what I knew was going to happen when I saw them, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so cool. You know, I tried to look into it to see if I could find them secondhand, and yeah, the prices were astronomical, but this person had one that they were selling for the exact price that they bought it at, mint condition, unopened, and I just had to pay the shipping on top of that. So for 8,000 yen, I got this box of these unique metal pins. How cool is that, dude? I don't know how they'll display them, but I thought that was super cool. I'm really excited to give it to him. I'm excited to see his reaction to it. As for my sister-in-law and my nephew, I went to the Pokemon Center and it was so overwhelming in there. I did grow up watching the show and I played the video games a little bit, but I never really got heavily into Pokemon. Shout out to Dawn for being my #1 reason I didn't become a diehard Pokemon fan. It's her fault. But it's kind of a good thing because I would have been doomed if I were a Pokemon fan in the Pokemon Center at Ikebukuro, Sunshine City Mall. Oh my god. I mean, I'm not even a Pokemon fan and I wanted to buy so much of the stuff because it was just cute as hell. I would immediately be having a Pikachu or an Eevee. Like, it's not even a joke. Or whatever this thing is. I love this thing. So I messaged my sister-in-law when I was asking her about like, how does little man feel about Pokemon? He's only 2, so he's kind of like, you know, at that point where he's developing a personality and interests. But she did ask him which Pokemon was his favorite. She gave him the 3 starters and asked him to choose one, and it's no surprise he chose, yeah. I think you saw that coming. I think everybody does. I'm pretty sure he's like what most boys pick when they're 2. And then I also came across, this bag is not that big. Why am I not able to find it? Here it is. I also came across this Charizard patch, which I thought was cool as hell. And I thought they could put it on like a jacket or his backpack or something, so it can kind of be like an extra little thing that will stand the test of time, because I didn't want to get him anything he would outgrow too quickly, because you know how kids are. So that's for my nephew. And then for my sister-in-law, I asked my brother what her favorite Pokemon was, and of course it's like not one of the popular ones, so I had a hell of a time trying to find something for her. They had all these like pins, and I searched and searched and searched trying to find one of either of her 2 favorite Pokemon, and neither of them were a part of the pin lineup. I had a hard time finding merch in general for these 2, but one of them, the black one with the yellow, kind of looks like Eevee, but it's not Eevee. Anyway, that one with the red eyes, I found like large stuffies of it. I really wanted to get that for her, but that'll be next time, because instead I stuck with her ultimate favorite, which I did find a little stuffy for, which is this one. I kind of wish I could have gotten her one that would have been larger, but they don't make this one in a larger size because it's not as popular. Honestly, I feel bad for the people who have very obscure favorite Pokemons, because, you know, if it's not like any of the main ones or like Pikachu or some shit, you're just kind of like out of luck, you know what I mean? Circling back around to my other brother, I got him just a basic cat I don't know, Devin was difficult. I literally got this the day before my flight because I was struggling to find him something, but Devin's not the type to really care. When I actually asked him directly what he would like me to get him, if there was anything specific, he just said something for his car. I don't even know what that means. I did want to get him a little model of his actual car. They're basically Hot Wheels. His model was released in red. Devin's car is more of a dark gray. Even if I could find it, I didn't want to get it for him. It like is the wrong color. So I ended up not going for that idea. As for my other nephew, he's still a little baby. He's only a year old, a year and a half. I found out that he's really into hand puppets. So I got him this little monkey hand puppet that's super cute that I thought he would get a real kick out of. And again, I mean, he's too young to like remember a lot of stuff, so it's, you know, next time when he actually has like interests and stuff, it's gonna be fun to be able to get him gifts. Okay, I think that's all the big gifts. As for the small gifts, up until now it's been pretty much, we've only talked about my mom's side of the family. But as for my aunt and uncle, she really likes pink and like neon colors, glitter, sparkle. She's that girl, you know what I mean? She's turning 40 this year, so I wanted to get her something really special, really pretty. I didn't want to skimp out with her. So I ended up getting her these earrings. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but they have little bits of sakura petals, I think. It might not actually be sakura, but flower petals in there in like glass, and it's almost neon. It's such a bright, pretty pink, and it's got the gold around it. And then for my uncle, the Metallica lover that I couldn't get a Metallica gift for, I decided to get him this little keychain of a acoustic guitar because he's always playing this thing. We lived in the countryside and they would come to visit. He would spend his mornings sitting outside just playing the guitar. And so I thought that that would be kind of a cute gift to give him that I thought he'd really like. So I got him that. For my aunt and uncle on my mom's side, my mom's sister and her family, I only really knew what my cousin would like. She and I have a lot of the same interests. We both really like Animal Crossing. When I was a kid, I got her into Shugokara. You know, we have a lot of the same interests and the same hobbies. So shopping for her was the easiest. I went to the Nintendo store and I was hoping to get a Lily stuffed animal, but I actually couldn't find a Lily stuffy. They didn't have it. I know that I've seen it. I just don't know where to find it because it wasn't there when I went. But instead, I ended up getting her this blind box. It was like November or something last year. I got a blind box as well, and I ended up getting Timmy and Tommy out of it. So this one does have Lily as an option. She is on there. I'm praying that she got Lily because that would be really cool if she does end up getting. If she gets Marshall, I'm gonna be so pissed because I love Marshall with a passion. I'm ride or die for Marshall. I'm excited to find out who she gets in here. As for my other cousin, I actually didn't know what to get him, like at all. When I got my uncle this keychain, there was a whole bunch of them there that was for different sports. They had everything, I'm not kidding. One for every instrument you can think of, one for every sport you can think of, curling included. As a Canadian, I know that the Olympics has it as an Olympic sport, but I didn't think very many people actually knew that curling existed. So I was impressed to see curling there, but hockey wasn't there. I don't know why. I was so frustrated by that. I spent like entirely too long looking for the hockey one. I looked at every single pin they had and there wasn't hockey. So that was out the window. When you're looking at keychains and stuff, the ones in Asakusa, and there's so many stalls selling keychains, but I find that a lot of the touristy keychains for Japan are very feminine looking. I had a hard time finding ones that felt masculine enough to give them to my cousin and also my uncle. These two were the best I can do. I still actually haven't decided which one is who's getting what. So one of them is getting one of these, but that's probably, like, that was really the best I could find. It was really difficult. As for my aunt, she's getting this one. Just a pink cat. I thought was cute. So that covers them, and we're nearing the end here. Second last item that I got was for my best friend Rachel. She's not a really pink frilly girly girl kind of thing, but again, a lot of the keychains are very feminine, very girly. She would have loved anything I give her, but I tried to kind of think of her aesthetics. She probably would have preferred like black or something, like that would have been more up her alley, but I couldn't find anything quite like that that would be suitable. So this will have to do, but that'll go with her little treat bag. The last little group of keychains that I got was for family friend. When I saw this, I immediately thought of her. She's an artist. And then for her boyfriend, I got him this little red cat keychain. So they're gonna get that along with their little treat bag. And that is it for today's video. I hope you liked this. Just kind of a little fun haul-esque video showing off my souvenirs. I know that it was very chatty and it was also very personal, I guess. I talked about a lot of personal things. I discussed a lot of, you know, my family and such today. I know that's not normally the usual, but I hope it was enjoyable. I hope you had fun seeing what I bought for my family members. I hope it maybe gave you some ideas for some things that you can get as souvenir gifts for your family when you're traveling, when you're in Japan. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next week. I almost forgot. It's been like 2 hours since I filmed it. I just realized I forgot somebody. Little Bear. I wanted to get her like a little dog stuffy from like a pet shop or something, but I was so focused on getting everyone else's gifts near the end there. She completely slipped my mind, and it wasn't until I was on the plane that I remembered I didn't get her a gift, and I felt really bad. So I'm going to compromise by giving her my Woodstock. I figured that I can probably just get another Woodstock. I'll probably go back to that cafe, as I said before, in my March haul video where I first introduced Woodstock. There's other items on the menu I would like to try. I also want to go to the Snoopy Museum because I didn't have a chance to go. It's kind of far away from where I am in Tokyo, so it didn't make sense to go, and it wasn't a priority because I've already been. I went to it when it had a pop-up, but now I think it has a permanent location, and so I'd like to go there, and I know that they have Woodstock stuffies there that are without the apron and stuff, so I can get another Woodstock stuffy. So I wanted to add that because I forgot. That's twice now that I've forgotten about Little Bear and her gift, so I feel really bad. I have to make up for that. But anyway, there, now we're done.